Hot topics this morning, things that have caught our attention, and this one is one that I guess it didn't really surprise me, and I guess that's what's sad about it. So there's a new survey out that shows Americans are feeling more negative about our country's moral values. This is a survey by Gallup. They looked at more than 1,000 adults, and they found that a record 56% of Americans now rate our nation's moral values as poor. More than half of the people surveyed believe that America has poor moral values. That is up 12 points just from last year. It also found 80% of respondents believe that moral values are getting worse, which that goes along with the survey. Meantime, just 3% of those surveyed rated Americans' moral values as excellent. Here's the other thing that's interesting. For the first time ever, a majority of Republicans, Independents, and Democrats all universally rate our moral values as poor. So this is not a party line issue. Everyone agrees, whether you vote Republican, Democrat, or you are an independent, that our values are currently in the dumpster. Why? What is happening in our country, do you think, that has led us down this path?
I'll let you go, Steph.
I'll say this. I think a part of this as well partially has to do with the fact that we see everything now. Social media has changed the name of the game and the way that we expose every moment of our lives. A part of it, to me, maybe our perception of degrading in moral value as well has to do with the fact that we see someone doing every part of their life. We didn't used to have that. We used to just see the good parts. We used to just see what was on, the 6 o'clock news. Maybe we saw the worst of it, but right now it's just in front of our face so much. We talked a little bit about this the other day when I interviewed that World War II veteran who was 103 years old. He said he was just heartbroken to see that some people were burning the American flag, that they lost their patriotism. But I think we need to remember that, okay, maybe we are losing our moral code a bit, but people are getting back to church. They're trying to find a moral code. Yeah. So whether it's you're going to, the synagogue more because you're Jewish, or you're Catholic and you're going to church more, I think people are trying desperately to say, okay, where can I find my moral values? So that is giving me hope, but I think we are feeling a little defeated.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much of this is also perception bias, kind of like what you talked about. You see it all the time, so you assume that's normal. So when they ask you, how are things, you say it's horrible. There's a study done a long time ago when they ask about the economy. People would say, how's the economy? And everybody would say, oh, it's horrible. How is it for you? Oh, I'm doing fine. Okay, so it's funny how you think it's so bad for everybody else. So I looked this up. It's called an HCP study. It's High Conflict People Study, done by Bill Eddy a few years ago. And he found 10 to 20% of the population causes nearly all the conflict, all the drama. So again, are we just focusing on the 10 to 20%? Because let's be honest, that's what we do in the news business. Yeah. We don't say, hey, a child crossed the street safely. We do the story when something happens, right? And then Reddit found, this one may be exactly what you're talking about. Reddit found that 1% of their users created nearly 75% of all conflict. So are we talking about a very small group of people, but we all see it from the outside and we think everybody's lost their way? I think it's probably more this because, we get to go to so many different events and you find out, man, there's some really great people all over this city and this country. And again, do we focus on the small minority? Probably so. I think
perception is a lot of it. I do think, though, if you sat 10 people down and asked them to list off 5 of the 10 commandments,
right,
they probably couldn't.
Yeah.
And I do think that, yes, we are seeing a resurgence in people going back to church, but I do feel like that, where does our moral compass come from? Where do our values come from? Where do our intrinsic, laws in this nation come from? They go back to these roots of thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery. There's a list, right? And whether you're a religious person or not, I think that we all sort of fundamentally believe that there should be a list of values that we follow, and I do think that we're straying from it.
I just wish there were polls when the Vikings were around. Again, it's been bad forever. Do we just focus on it now? So, all right, we got to take a break.
Neanderthals, too.
Right, they really had it bad.